This is Miss Guest Johnson, and today we're talking about understanding how stories work with a look at story structure and the Freytag diagram. So let's start with the big question. What is story structure and why does it matter? Story structure is the framework or blueprint that shapes how a story unfolds. It is the way events are organized and connected so that a story makes sense. It keeps us interested and leads us to somewhere meaningful. Why story structure? Well, good story structure isn't just for writers and filmmakers. It's something we experience every time we watch a movie, we read a book, or even listen to a friend tell a story. It's important because it helps audiences follow along, understanding the characters' journeys, and feel emotions at just the right moments. There are a lot of different models and diagrams that help us think about story structure. For example, you might hear about the hero's journey, the 3-act structure, or Save the Cat. Each model offers its own perspective on how stories work best. But for this course, we'll be focusing on the Freytag diagram, also called the Freytag's pyramid. We are using the Freytag model because it clearly breaks a story into the key moments that almost every strong narrative has. And it's simple to apply whether you're writing your own story or you're analyzing someone else's. The Freytag diagram doesn't come from me. It comes from Gustav Freytag, who was a German novelist and playwright in the 1800s. He studied classic plays and mapped out a 6-part structure that you'll see in everything from ancient myths to today's animated movies. It consists of 6 parts, even though you may see 7 or 5. In this course, we'll focus on the exposition, the inciting incident, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. The exposition introduces the characters, the setting, the status quo. We start understanding the character's objectives, which is what the character wants more than anything. The inciting incident is the event that disrupts the normal life and kickstarts the plot into motion. It's when something happens that changes the whole trajectory of the film. The rising action builds tension through obstacles and conflict. So if the character has objective and they want something more than anything, that conflict will stop that character from getting what they want. And then we get to the climax, which is the highest point of tension. Will our character live or die? Will they succeed or fail? It's the pivotal turning point of our story. The falling action shows consequences of the climax. It's a result of what the actions were during the climax, and it begins the resolution. And the resolution is how our story ends. It concludes the stories. The characters and the world are often transformed. Let's take a look at one of my favorite films, animations, which is Finding Nemo. And I'm going to use our Freytag pyramid to deconstruct it shortly. So let's take a look at our exposition. If you don't know the film, take a look at either a trailer or a synopsis or watch the film because it's an amazing film. So Marlin, a cautious clownfish, raises his only son Nemo on the reef. He fears of his safety after losing his family. And it starts with that. The inciting incident is when Nemo defies Marlin when he's at school, and he swims towards a boat, and then he's captured by a scuba driver, and even the music will support this. And then it starts Marlin's desperate search for his son. The rising action consists of Marlin and Dory, a fish that he meets along the way. They start facing sharks, jellyfish, and whales, while Nemo plots an escape from a dentist's tank with his new friends. And the interesting thing about Dory is she doesn't remember what just happened. She loses her memory all the time. And so she tells Marlin, I know where the boat is taking him. And then she's like, who, what boat? What are you talking about? And so you want to keep thinking about characters' objectives. Dory has an objective, Marlin has an objective, Nemo has an objective, and they all have obstacles and they play together. The climax is Nemo's escape from the tank. He escapes, and I'm not going to tell you how, you have to watch the film, but he reunites with Marlin, and then a situation happens and Dory's caught. And Marlin has to trust Nemo to get Dory out, which Marlin at this point really appreciates Dory. And so he helps free Dory with the help with, taking Nemo's advice and the other fish from a fishing net. And so after the rescue during the falling action, Marlin now trusts Nemo's abilities. He sees his son in this positive light, like, I have to trust my son. He just saved Dory and the rest of these fish. And they safely return home with a newfound understanding and a stronger bond between the father and son. And so the story ends with Marlin confidently allowing Nemo to attend school. He demonstrates trust, growth, and a renewed sense of happiness and family. So that is our Freytag pyramid in a nutshell. And we use it because it's going to break our stories into digestible segments. It aids in planning and pacing our own narratives. It helps deepen analysis of stories we either read or watch or will create. And it's crucial for engagement and clarity. It offers a classic, well-tested model for films and screenplays and stories, stage plays, everything. And we use it to plan our stories, and we also dissect our favorite films. So we'll be using that through the semester. If you haven't seen Finding Nemo, check it out. And if you have questions, just let me know. Good luck.